Aerators was only around for 1987, but for me personally, it had quite the impact. I would stare at these catalogs for many hours as a kid, wishing I had everything, wanting to set up a battle scene. And it was this image right here that inspired that. It's the key art for the entire series. It depicts quite the battle scene. Hundreds of opponents pitted against each other on a field of battle. A desolate landscape. Dystopian. The history behind Aerators itself is kind of weird and not exactly scientifically accurate, feasible, sensical, factual. But it didn't really have enough time to gestate as an idea, I don't think, or develop, certainly. But here is the catalog, and more hours were spent staring at this, wanting to get more. Especially the Man of War with its hovering surveillance ball, and as many people as you could fit in that thing. And these were the only images I had at the time, of course. You got the battle packs there. You have the Tyrants of the Wind versus the Aerators. You have this air refinery, which never got produced, but the image for the prototype made it into the catalog and became an unattainable thing for all of those young kids, myself included. But we're going to talk more in depth about that further on in this series. Right now we're going to start with the battle packs. So we have 5 troops from each side, 4 basics and kind of a field commander. And they're depicted, in the art, raiding the various places. So the Aerators themselves are actually raiding the air refinery, and the Tyrants were going after the outpost. The reverse side here, of course, on the reverse side of all the packaging, you will see the key art cropped and adjusted to fit the box as best as it can. Also, you get a little bit of a blurb about the individual characters or the vehicle that might be involved. Here we have the Twin Lightning. This is not one I had as a kid. I only actually had 2 vehicles. But this one I always thought was pretty sweet. It looked like a bat machine of some sort, and it has definitely Cloud City car vibes if you're a Star Wars person. The gimmick with Aerators, of course, is that they launch missiles. Most of them launch missiles. And looking at the underside here, you see some differences in the production of the vehicles, even through the course of a single year that it was around. So look at the bottom of these skis. They're flat there at the end to allow more room for the air cord, whereas these have a little hook that you can slide that through. It doesn't matter which way you go, you're still going to crimp that hose, and it's going to make for a little bit of difficulty when firing if you're not super careful with it. And who was as a kid? I'm not even as an adult. But the Twin Lightning can fit 4 figures inside. It comes with 2. It comes with your pilot and a regular standard issue aerator. The pilot itself is actually, sorry for the hard P's, one of my favorite figures in the entire line. Just the deco, the fact that it was kind of faceless. So you could have multiple of these specially decorated characters. In Aerators, it gets kind of monotone after a while. But actually, I didn't show it. The one on the left, next to the box there, actually has all 4 seats filled by pilots. So I kind of missed that opportunity. Oh well. But you got to see the one. And the great thing about this one, why I've really grown to enjoy it as an adult, is it has pink missiles. It's the only one that has got these, really. There are other ways to get pink missiles, and we'll go into that down the line here in these videos. But the sculpting on these is quite amazing. But this is Hasbro, the same people who brought you G.I. Joe and Transformers. The sculpting in the G.I. Joe stuff was a little bit better than Transformers, but some of that was Takara. Anyway, going off on a tangent, one of the things that most often you'll find when you're getting used Twin Lightnings is the skis take a lot of hits, take a lot of pressure, and very often are misaligned just because it's a stress point. And it would have been fantastic if they would have been retractable. Unfortunately, they're not. You can remove them, but sometimes that's more of a pain than anything else. They're kind of difficult. The box, another wonderful bunch of art there. Some basic depictions on the sides of the actual vehicles. Didn't see a whole lot of this in the wild as a kid, or if I did, it was few and far between, because I believe at this point the Toys R Us in my town had not opened up yet. I believe it opened up later in 87 and 88. Most of this stuff I found, of course I lived in Florida, was at Eckerd's, which was, I don't know what it is now, but it was a little bit, find anything there as a kid. But here again is that key art and a little factoid about the Twin Lightning and its pilot, and the faceless person they also give a personality and a name to. But in the air along with the Twin Lightning, we have the Hawkwind, which is not maybe the greatest naming convention for some of these toys, but this is certainly, and it was for me as a kid, the standout of the bunch. It's got swooshability. You could just pick it up, play with it. Everything stays pretty well intact. As long as you don't tilt it forward, the missiles stay on. Unless you jam them in there, but then they just don't seem to fire right. Another big issue with this vehicle, the major issue with this vehicle is the cockpits. You can't reasonably fit a character in any except for the very front seat there. So you end up having to take it apart to get somebody to sit inside. But when you do that, most of the time you end up snapping that front clip, because we're just trying to pop it open. We're not trying to take the time to actually gently pry the thing back to put somebody in there semi-permanently, because you're going to have to reverse the whole process again. But that's the only way they really get in there. The pilot for the Hawkwind is okay, but the shoulders and the designs for them just make them really difficult to work with in this vehicle, unless you've got him in the very front seat, or you put him in and lock him into position like this. The rear gunner is a nice touch, but it is strange that the vehicle doesn't have any forward-facing guns. This small hatch here, if you're looking at a used version of this vehicle, is missing most of the time. But I love the way the cockpits are. Love that you can get three figures in there. And I like the look of it. The cockpit itself reminded me a little bit of the last Starfighter, but certainly not nearly as roomy. And the play function on this one worked more reliably than most of the rest, except of course when you pop that clip there, you start looking like it's talking to you. But we have one without a popped clip here, and with all the stickers on it, which, out of the entire series, these are some of the better stickers. But your selector is there on the back, just like on the Twin Lightning. And you got your left and you got your right. Boom, there we go. And these are great, both of these flying vehicles, because while the vehicle is in hand, you can actually manage the switch and fire off two Here again, the key art. I stared at this one so long. It just looks magnificent. It has different cropping than the other images do, so you get a little treat with every different product if that's something you're after. And I think all the boxes really shine. But this one, of course, is not in great condition. That's why we're not looking at the other side of it right now. The flap is a little bit ripped. But this vehicle is kind of magnificent, I think. It has the hallmarks of, a sinister attack vehicle, but at the same time, I mean, you can fit 3 figures in there. It's great. Next time around, we're going to take a look at some of the ground vehicles. We'll see how many I can fit in the next one. We'll see how many videos we end up making here. Thanks for checking it out. Tune in next time for more Air Raiders.